Hello everyone, I'm Melody Gardenia, and this is Tulpa Talk. This week's video centers around the question, should I make a tulpa? I'll be listing reasons why people make tulpas, reasons why people should and should not make tulpas, and the pros and cons of having a tulpa. So let's jump right in. Why people make tulpas? The main reason why most people make a tulpa is for some form of companionship. This can include relationships such as friends or family, which includes siblings, parental figures, and children. It is very common for people to make tulpas as romantic or even sexual partners, as odd as that may sound. Even more common is people making, either on purpose or by accident, tulpas that are heavily based off of or are otherwise intended to be their favorite fictional characters. Some people end up with accidental or intentional tulpas that are based off of roleplay characters, story characters, or imaginary friends. In these cases, the tulpa has been created out of a sense of closeness, familiarity, and comfort. So of these reasons, which ones are good reasons and which ones are the bad reasons? And once a tulpa is made, what are some pros and cons of having it around? Let's dive right into these questions with good reasons to make a tulpa. A desire for a companion or to alleviate loneliness. It is human condition to want a companion and to socialize. Wanting a mental companion for the sake of alleviating loneliness is honestly valid as heck. On its own, this is probably the single most valid reason to make a tulpa. Note that they should not replace external socialization, but can be a good placeholder if one's circumstances involve a lack of it or difficulty of maintaining long-term connections. To help with mental health issues. Tulpas can have a positive effect on mental health, especially in abusive situations or when lacking traditional friends and healthy relationships. So as long as you aren't planning on having your tulpas to serve solely as a therapist, it's okay to desire one in the hopes that they will help improve your mental state. To improve socialization. As will be explained in more detail later, tulpas can help people learn and practice social skills that they can later use in the external world. It is okay to want a tulpa for this, as long as that's not their sole reason for existing. You just want one. As long as they aren't made as an experiment, especially if they will be ultimately discarded, it's okay to want a tulpa just for the sake of having a tulpa. Tulpas are great, and have many benefits as will be listed in detail later. Just make sure that you intend to love and care for it as a companion. Bad reasons to make a tulpa. A lot of these can be prefaced by saying that tulpas are people with their own rights, thoughts, feelings, and desires. They should not be subjective to serve a specific purpose, especially if they might not want to fulfill that purpose once they have gained autonomy and undergo deviation. To be a servant. Tulpas are neither servants nor robots to do your bidding. This kind of headmate is technically known as a servitor, but you should recognize that a psychological servitor is essentially just an automated state of mind, so it's basically just you doing the thing anyway. Plus, this kind of headmate can eventually develop into a proper tulpa. So if you're really hard set on making a headmate to serve you without question, be aware that they'll probably eventually grow to hate it and rebel against you. To be a sexual or even romantic partner. Just like you can't, or rather shouldn't, force a regular person to date or have sex with you, you should not make a tulpa with the intention of forcing it to be a romantic or sexual partner. If you are hoping your tulpa will grow to love you as a partner, then that's fine, but don't make a tulpa under the expectation that they will want to be with you like that. They can choose how they want to view you once they gain sentience and autonomy, and should not be forced to do so if they choose otherwise. As an aside, the same thing goes for a pet. A tulpa can consent to being a pet to its creator, but should not be created just to be a pet. Let it decide on its own what it wants to do and what it wants to be to you. Become host. You absolutely should not create a tulpa to take over for you because you do not want to continue living your life. This is unfair to the tulpa who may not necessarily want to live your life for you. Plus, if you do not have a desire to live your own life, you might lack the proper motivation or dedication required to actually develop your tulpa, not to mention that your tulpa could develop this same lack of desire to live daily life. If you find this being one of your motivations to make a tulpa, you should instead seek professional help to resolve the issues that are causing this desire. A punching bag. This should go without saying, but a tulpa is not for its creator to physically use or abuse. That is incredibly selfish and insensitive, as well as unhealthy. especially since you two share a brain, and assaulting a facet of your mind can potentially harm you and your psyche as well. If you have aggression, sadistic desires, or homicidal tendencies that you want to take out on people, and want to create a tulpa to be the outlet for these urges, you should instead seek mental health services to help you just deal with these feelings. Dedication or lack thereof. If you're generally not a dedicated person, you probably shouldn't make a tulpa, since a tulpa requires a lot of time and dedication to both create and satisfy. You should especially not make a tulpa so it can dedicate itself to you or any particular task or role. You have to take responsibility for your own life and your own responsibilities. Do not make a tulpa just so it can do these things for you. Impatience. On a similar note, if you are an impatient person, you should not try to make a tulpa, as the process can take months, and in some cases, over a year. You can't expect a tulpa right away, and even after it is created, it will need time to learn and grow and develop, and might even change its form and personality. If you cannot be patient with such things, you probably should not make a tulpa. Selfishness. Your tulpa will be a constant companion in your body, and it will have a lot of things that it already can't do simply because it is a tulpa and not you. But you should not make them for the purpose of being selfish with them. That's completely unfair. To try it out. As stated earlier, this is a person that you will be bringing into your life within your head. And unless something drastic happens, they will be with you for the rest of your life. You shouldn't make a headmate just for the hell of it, or as an experiment. It'll likely resent you if you do this, especially if you tend to discard it or ignore it once it is made. You want your waifu. Please, do not make a tulpa solely because you want to have your favorite fictional character as a companion, especially a sexual or romantic one, in your head. If you decide to do it for that reason anyway, well, that's on you. Plus, there's nothing wrong with making a tulpa based off of a fictional character, but don't make that their sole reason for existing, and understand that they may end up deviating from their original intended form and personality, as well as resent you for having created them just to be a mimic of your favorite character. Pros of having a tulpa. Help with mental health. Tulpas have been shown to help either alleviate or cope with mental health issues, such as anxiety, depression, autism, eating disorders, etc., by way of being someone to vent to about these issues, help their host get through some of the challenges of these issues, and as an encourager to the host to take steps to overcome these issues. Plus, it can be good to have a companion to help with coping. Companionship. I pretty much explained this earlier in the good reasons to make a tulpa. They can help alleviate loneliness, but should not be a replacement for social interaction with outside people. Improve social skills. For those who are shy, socially awkward or anxious, autistic, etc., socializing can be difficult. Having a mental companion that you can interact with may help you learn and practice some social skills and break you out of your shy or anxious shell. They can even encourage and guide you to outside interactions. Different perspective. Tulpas can provide a different perspective and outlook on things, which can help people who tend to be very indecisive, or even possibly make things worse, but hopefully not. Can lead to a greater sense of habit or responsibility. It takes a lot of work, patience, and dedication to actually create a tulpa, unless you get lucky and have one within a day or two. If you successfully make a tulpa, it'll give you a vague sense of what it's like to be responsible, especially for another living being. This could help you learn responsibility and dedication. Cons of having a tulpa. You have to spend time making it happen. As I've said before, tulpas take time and effort to create. Unless you get lucky and make it happen within a few days, you will likely spend months of your life creating them and helping them develop until they're fully vocal and autonomous. They require a lot of attention and often affection. Tulpas are not typically individuals that you can leave alone and expect to take care of themselves. They are like any other person and require socialization, attention, and usually also affection and comfort. You will need to interact with your tulpa regularly, even daily, in order to make sure that they're happy and healthy. They can take up a lot of time once fully formed. They will likely want to spend time with you, not just in your daily life, but doing things with you specifically. You will often have to set aside some time during your day or week to give them attention and bond with them. as well as to resolve potential issues that can arise, just like with any standard relationship. Can get out of hand if too many. Some people can go overboard and make too many tulpas. They can get really hard to manage once you're near or above 10 tulpas, as each of them will require individual attention and likely want different things from you and from life in general. To avoid this con, if you do intend on making multiple tulpas, you should consider capping your system to 7 members, which is 6 tulpas plus you, the host, and at the absolute most, with about 3 tulpas. That's a system of 4, being a very safe stopping point if you have better self-restraint. Disagreements and arguments can happen. More likely than not, your tulpa will be a very different person than you. They will likely have a different personality and slightly different ways of thinking. As such, arguments and disagreements are bound to occur, just like with regular people. This is not something to shy away from. Instead, it is something to let happen and work through with your tulpa. Likely your relationship will become stronger because of it, if you can work through it. Plus, it's good to have someone with a slightly different perspective that can help you figure things out or keep you from doing stupid things. They know everything that you know, which can be embarrassing. Unlike disordered systems, such as those with DID and OSDD, tulpa systems do not have amnesia barriers between its members. This means that your tulpa will know everything that you know, unless you specifically train your mind to separate your memories and experiences, which is extremely difficult to do. This is generally a good thing because often you will not have to fill your tulpa in on things that have happened. But yes, they will know all about the porn you've watched, the people you've slept with, your embarrassing childhood memories, your cringy teen phases, your weird fandom obsessions, and all that fun stuff. Presumably you and your tulpa will be able to get over this and live life without thinking about it too much. So let's summarize some things. Tulpas can be fantastic companions and are very good at helping their host improve mental health, cope with life issues, improve social skills, and make decisions. Simply wanting a companion to go through life with is a good enough reason to want a tulpa, though of course all the added benefits are just bonus reasons to desire one. However, things will not be perfect between you and your tulpa. You will need to learn to cooperate and coexist, which will involve setting boundaries, establishing trust, and resolving conflicts. As a general rule, you should not create a tulpa to fulfill a specific purpose or role, as they might not want to do it or be it once they've gained full sentience and autonomy. This includes things like being a servant, being a sexual partner, taking over as you whenever you're unable to function mentally or emotionally, and basically any of the things on the why not/cons list. You should also not create a tulpa if you're not dedicated or patient enough to put the time and effort into making it and paying attention to it. Always keep in mind, a tulpa is ultimately a person equal to yourself. They may not be the person the body was born with, and they might not legally exist, but they do mentally exist. They generally have the same level of sentience and autonomy as you, and have the same rights as you. Treat them with the same level of respect you would an external person, or with even more respect since you share a body with them. And of course, remember that they will be with you always, for the rest of your life. I hope this video has been very informative, as well as eye-opening and persuasive. If you came here asking, should I make a tulpa, I hope that I have answered this question for you by outlining good and bad reasons to make one, and pros and cons of having one. I do encourage tulpamancy for those who plan to be responsible hosts and or those who really need one. Of course, I can only suggest. It is up to you to actually decide if you will or even should go through with making one. Feel free to comment with any other suggestions for pros and cons of tulpas, or good and bad reasons to make one. Also, feel free to argue with any of these reasons if you think they need to be argued. I'm very open to debate and discussion. Thanks for watching. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, comment on the video if you had anything to add or ask a request, share the video if you found it useful, and subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this. See ya!